The NHL 24 All-Star Open. The road to the NHL 24 World Championship begins. In this video, I'm going to take you through my entire trip to the All-Star event, including the NHL 24 All-Star Open, and all of the festivities and behind the scenes from my time in Toronto. As always, let me know what you think. This is really the first time I've edited my own vlog. Love to know your guys' feedback, but I hope you enjoy. Let's hop into Toronto. One of my favorite parts of this event was that I did not have to fly anywhere. No connector, no early flight, no going through TSA, simply hopping into the car and having my old man drive the entire way in, all the way to downtown Toronto. And on day one, not gonna lie, really gloomy weather, little cloudy, little overcast, but spoiler alert, it gets much better throughout the weekend. So Thursday, day one, we get into downtown Toronto, make our way to Fairmont Royal York, a fantastic hotel right across from Union Station, which is housing pretty much everyone from the NHL. But what ended up being the busiest work trip that I've had in my career so far, very little time to chill, as we had about an hour before the All-Star Draft kicked off. Grabbed a quick bite at Jack Astor's, 9 out of 10 chicken sandwich, and then it was time to head to our seats inside Scotiabank Arena for night one of the All-Star festivities. Pretty solid seats right behind the main stage to watch all four teams draft their squads for the All-Star weekend. I'll be honest, the most entertaining part of this was Michael Bublé on recreational drugs, but it actually went by pretty quickly and they did a pretty good job of it. So the draft went along. Shout out to my man Robert Thomas, friend of the podcast. Cool watching him make his all-star appearance, landing on Team McDavid. And then we got down to the last 4 players yet to be picked. And I gotta say, I absolutely hated this. Not just because it involved my man Tomas Hertl from the Sharks, but because we didn't get the Mr. Irrelevant moment. We didn't get that Phil Kessel sitting there while everyone else has been picked and he ends up with a car. They've found a way to basically make it where the final 4, no one felt left out. I don't know if that was a player's thing or the team, the league, whatever, but definitely didn't love that aspect of the draft. Now, originally, I was never really scheduled to go to the draft event on the Thursday night, but the real reason why I decided to go is, for anyone who doesn't know, my old man is a die-hard Leafs fan. And he was 7 years old the last time the Leafs won a cup, and he wanted to see the ceremony they put on for the 67 Leafs. And I'm not gonna lie, it was fun to listen to my old man talk about those Leafs and that roster and how vividly somehow he remembers all of the names and everything, because it was literally like 60 years ago. And it's also the reason why I would love to see the Leafs win a cup just for my old man. Also, learning about the history of that team was actually super stunning because I guess they weren't very good and were nowhere near the expected favorites in 67. And it was fun listening to Ron MacLean go down the list of alumni as they all had their time to talk about that team, including Dave Keon. For anyone that's a diehard fan of any franchise, I just hope you guys appreciate seeing your team win because you truthfully never know when you'll see it again. And the night ended with the PWHL 3-on-3 showcase. They put this at the end of the night, and you'd think that everyone's got after parties to go to and things like that. This was the most packed I've seen the building since I went to game 1 against Tampa last summer. They put on a heck of a show. So after a quick walk out of Scotiabank Arena through Union Station, we get back to the Fairmont Royal York, finish off day 1. No going out for me. I had rehearsal at 8:30 a.m. Well, looks like a nice day out. All right, I deserve a subscribe and like for that hell of a transition. We gotta head to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Just a quick walk from the Fairmont and get a tournament underway. And after a short little walk, we end up at the Hockey Hall of Fame, the site for the NHL 24 All-Star Open. So pretty routine morning. On tournament day, my man Polgs, one of the competitors, warming up against Uninstall, who made the trip down. And as far as venues that we've had NHL events at, this was one of the best. Legitimately right in the middle of a lot of the action of the Hockey Hall of Fame. Was really cool. All leading up to our theater area where me and Carlin would do the broadcast from. Really enjoyed the setup.
We're here in Toronto, Ontario at the Hockey Hall of Fame for an exciting weekend of the NHL 24 World Championship All-Star Open. Just being in the Hockey Hall of Fame, this is probably the most unique setup for an NHL 24 tournament.
Seeing these guys in action, this is going to be an exciting game.
And there it is, the Polgs play. And that's it. We're game number 1 of our finals.
We are all tied up, Cam. Wow.
So we end up with Polgs versus Cad in the finals. It's overtime in game 3 and just a hell of an ending. Power play's over, but Cad gets possession again with McCarty. Might have a breakaway. And all alone. And that one doesn't go either. As Cad can't end it. Here's McKinnon now. Into the middle on the backhand. What's he got to do at this point? McKinnon with it again. Tries to get into the slot. Now he does shot. He scores! Cad's going to win the NHL 24 All-Star Open in overtime.
Cad closing it down here, becoming our NHL All-Star Open champion.
All right, so first event done. There's the old man in the background. We got Cad Cooks winning. My voice is cooked. And yeah, GG's to Polgs. All right, event is all done. Time to go to the All-Star Skills Competition. Who's gonna win the million? Who's winning the million?
I'll say Barzal.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking too. Sneaky pick from the old man. Barzal with the win. I can see it. So the All-Star Open event ends around 5 p.m. Quick run back to the hotel to change. And then it was right to Scotiabank Arena for the skills competition. You heard my pops in the prior clip. We were big Barzal guys going into the skills competition, including a little wager. Not gonna lie, made the skills competition awesome to watch with the change in format. So Barzal was the guy that we really paid attention to from start to finish. Now, this is my second straight All-Star event in person, last year being in Florida. No disrespect to the hockey fans out in Florida, but Scotiabank was packed. The atmosphere was fantastic for the skills competition, and especially with all of the new changes. Personally, for me, it was 10 times better with this year's event prior to the last few.
From the Toronto Maple Leafs, number 34, Austin Matthews.
So first up was the fastest skater, and all 12 of the participants got to pick 4 of the first 6 competitions to be a part of, and then the top 8 based on points would move on to the last 2 events. Knowing that Barzal has a good shot of winning the fastest skater, and there was only 5 participants, the top 5 of each competition got points. So I knew that he was guaranteed points, and he just barely missed out on taking home the dub in fastest skater. Next up, we had the one-timer competition. Cool part about this event is that they brought out Connor Bedard and Sidney Crosby to be the passers for the participants. Cool moment to get Bedard involved in this event. Obviously, he would have been a big part of it had he not broken his jaw. Sidney Crosby, not a big fan of the spotlight at any NHL events, so it was cool to see him out there as well. Barzal passed to the righties, and after a shaky start, he finished all right. So after the first 6 competitions, Barzal was able to make it on to the final 8. And the one-on-one shootout challenge against the goaltenders was a great way to involve the goalies and put some urgency on it. Also love the fact that Barzal chose Shesterkin because of the rivalry between the Rangers and Islanders. I wish there was more of that when the players got to pick the goaltenders they went up against. Although JT Miller did say that he owns Jeremy Swayman, which I thought was pretty funny, but nonetheless, the rest just kind of picked whoever was right in front of them. And after 7 events, Barzal was in second place, and a win in the final event, well, that would mean an extremely good night for me and my pops.
For our final 2 skaters, here we go. If Barzal comes in first in this event, he could possibly take home the title. It all comes down to these final 2 skaters.
Yes, sir. Come on, buddy. Come on. And then the saucer passes happen. I'm not gonna lie, I can't imagine doing this event in front of 20,000 people, knowing that if you win $1 million, regardless of how much money these guys make. But he was so close to winning this whole damn thing. But in the end, Connor McDavid wins. What else is new? Barzal put up a hell of an effort. And again, I can't stress how much better this skills competition was to the prior years. It doesn't look like there'll be an all-star game for a few years, but I really hope they keep this format. Then it was off to the NHL After Party, where they essentially rented out a convention center with free food and drinks. An awesome way to enjoy the night after the All-Star event. Shout out to the NHL for the invite. And just a really good second night in Toronto. On to Saturday. And it was another jam-packed day for me. Woke up real early. And it was time to head to Union Station, where there was a Lids pop-up store where my man Pete and DJ were hosting What Chaos, their fantastic hockey podcast, live in person. And they invited me on the show. So after a quick stop right through Union Station, it was time to talk hockey with two buddies.
We're here with Cam, a.k.a. No Seams Gaming, a.k.a. the only person dressed better than Rasmus Dahlin this week. You came in and you said, I'm Cam, and I said, no, you're handsome.
Draisaitl was like plus 1,400. He had the worst odds.
That's what Pete told me.
Yeah, because he told me that.
Awesome time talking hockey on What Chaos. If you haven't given them a listen, please do so. It has been blowing up. All right, we're on our way to Nathan Phillips Square. We're going to do the creator skills competition. I'm the coach of Team Blue. Got myself a nice new gentleman jacket. Looking the part of a head coach. And hopefully my team can win. Let's go get it. Shout out Violent Gentlemen for just creating unbelievable apparel. I'm sure almost all of you have checked them out, but if you haven't, go give their online store a look. 10 out of 10. So after a short walk, we end up in Nathan Phillips Square for the site of the NHL All-Star Creator Skills event with some of the biggest hockey creators in the world. I was a head coach of Team Blue, and honestly, the best event of this type that the NHL has put on. There were hundreds of people there. All of the creators were fantastic. The coverage of it was huge. Shout out to Neil from the NHL for putting it on and inviting me. Can't say enough good things about this event. So I had Team Blue featuring Seabass, formerly of FaZe Clan, Sterling Beaumont, Alexi Morita, Coach Jeremy, Nick the goalie was my tendy, and the captain was Zach Bell. Essentially, all four teams would play a simulated all-star event where it would be 2 semifinals and then a finals. So we were up against Team White featuring Swaggy P, Coach Chippy, and the on-the-bench fellas. Unfortunately for us, Swaggy P mimics a tornado on the ice, and we fell in our game against Team White. The best part of this day was watching these guys in a shootout try to pull off moves that I don't even know how you would begin to create them in your mind first before actually attempting them. This was highlighted by Zach Bell, Swaggy P, and our eventual shootout winner, Pavel Barber. I don't even know how to describe this, but they brought out former professional figure skater Elijah Balde, and I'm just gonna let this clip run. This is nuts.
What I want you to go around and do is make some noise, give some support.
All right, event's all done. Time for the actual NHL All-Star game. Head into Scotiabank Arena. Excited to find out the last event. See who wins. So the Creator Skills event finishes up. Congrats to Team Yellow and Pavel Barber's squad on taking home the dub. Legitimately left that, walked right to Scotiabank Arena. Again, all the events were kind of back-to-back this weekend. And while I personally don't have the same love for the actual game as I did the skills competition, I actually think now being there, it's probably a better watch on TV, simply because unless you're like really down low, it's kind of hard to tell who is who, because obviously you're not used to teams in different jerseys and things like that. So nonetheless, we had a nuts finish in one of the games where it was tied up with like 5 seconds to go, but it was capped off by Team Blue, or the Toronto Maple Leafs, winning the All-Star game and Austin Matthews getting the MVP. So a fitting way to end the All-Star event. And after 3 straight days of walking all over Toronto, doing non-stop events, I legitimately went back to the hotel room. We had dinner and I just passed out. My age is definitely showing. But that was because my time in Toronto was not done, because Sunday we had the Leafs Gaming League final. So me and my dad headed out and drove over to the Red Bull Gaming Studio. Now, my man Johnny, who handles all esports for MLSC, he put on a heck of a LAN experience for the Leafs Gaming League, the club championship for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Red Bull Gaming Studio was just a perfect setup for a LAN event. You've got a big caster area with multiple screens and a true professional layout, a catered lunch, free drinks, tons of seating space and gaming setups, and then a good seating experience to watch the actual grand finals play out. 10 out of 10, the Leafs always do it correct. This was a great club championship.
Leafs captured right there. 3 minutes to go in the period.
Also a completely different experience for me. Obviously, I'm the play-by-play guy for the NHL World Championship, but for the Leafs Gaming League, Nico was on play-by-play, and I was the host. It was the first time that I'd been on camera where I had to walk around, hit my cues, all of that. So I was extremely nervous, but we got through it. Shout out to Ragsy for being a beaut.
Good series. I'm going to try to be at my best. I know Geimer will too, and it's not going to be easy, but I'm hoping to get it done.
Game nothing lead in this best-of-3 series, and he's trying to end it here in overtime. Geimer with Brody takes it behind the net, trying to work his way out front. Shoots and scores! And Geimer is our champion!
So congrats to Geimer. He was able to win the Leafs Gaming League, defeating Bluin in 2 games to lock up the big dub. Big weekend for him, obviously competing in the All-Star Open as well. But after all of that, my work was finally done. So like I'd mentioned, it was definitely the busiest I'd ever been when it comes to like an esports event or anything involving the NHL. Always awesome to bring my dad along with me, especially considering he's a diehard Leafs fan, so it made it even better that the All-Star game was in Toronto. That said, this is the first vlog that I had really edited myself, so I want feedback from everyone as I try to get a little bit better at it. What did you like? What didn't you like? What do you think I should change up? Because the next one's coming soon as I fly to New York for the Stadium Series event as we carry on the road to the NHL 24 World Championship. Thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you in New York.